Welcome to today's deep dive. Today we are going behind the scenes a bit to explore the world of hacker tools.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, so you've probably heard terms like Nmap and Wireshark thrown around. But have you ever wondered how they actually work?
Yeah, like what can they actually uncover?
Exactly. It's like getting a glimpse into the secret world of ethical hacking, where the good guys use the same tools as the bad guys to protect systems and data.
You know? It's like having X-ray vision for the digital world.
I like that.
But just like any powerful tool, it all comes down to how you use it.
Right.
So ethical hackers use these tools with permission to find and fix vulnerabilities before the bad guys can exploit them.
It's like having a digital utility belt.
Yeah.
Before we get into the specific tools, though, I've noticed that Linux is mentioned a lot in cybersecurity.
Oh, yeah.
What makes Linux so important for ethical hackers?
Well, Linux is like the ultimate playground for ethical hackers. Because it's so flexible and open source, you can customize it to your heart's content, and you can actually see the underlying code.
So you can see how everything works.
Yeah, and that's crucial in cybersecurity, because you need to understand how things work at a deep level to identify and fix vulnerabilities.
Right. It's not just clicking buttons.
No,
Yeah.
it's about having precise control over the system.
So it's about getting your hands dirty in the code and understanding how it operates.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. You mentioned precise control. Is that where the command line comes in?
Yes.
I know it can seem intimidating to some people, but it's a powerful tool in the hands of a skilled ethical hacker.
Absolutely. The command line gives you direct access to the heart of the system.
Like speaking the computer's language.
Yeah, you got it. And a lot of cybersecurity tools, like Nmap, which we'll discuss soon, are built for this environment.
Okay, Nmap. It sounds like one of those tools that reveals tons of information about a network.
It does.
Can you break it down for us? What exactly is Nmap and why is it so essential?
Yeah, so Nmap stands for Network Mapper, and it's like a digital detective that scans networks and reveals all sorts of information. So imagine you're trying to secure a company's network.
Okay.
Well, you need to know what devices are connected, what operating systems they're running, what services are exposed to the internet, and any potential weak points.
I see.
Nmap helps you paint a detailed picture of the network structure and identify potential vulnerabilities.
So it's like a security audit for an entire network.
Yes, giving you an overview of its strengths and weaknesses.
It's amazing that one tool can do all that.
It is.
But how does it actually work?
Yeah.
What can you actually see when you run an Nmap scan?
Nmap works by sending specially crafted packets of data to target devices and then analyzes their responses. So you're sending out probes to map the digital terrain.
Okay.
It can discover active devices on a network, even hidden ones. It can tell you what operating system each device is running and reveal which ports are open on those devices, which are like virtual doorways that allow communication.
Okay. So knowing which ports are open could reveal potential entry points for attackers.
Exactly.
So ethical hackers use Nmap to find those open doors before the bad guys do.
Yeah, it's like, let's say a company has an old server running an outdated file sharing protocol on a port that should be closed. Nmap would flag that as a vulnerability.
Right.
An attacker could use that to gain access to sensitive data, but an ethical hacker using Nmap could find that vulnerability.
And report it.
Right. So the company can fix it before any damage is done.
That's incredible. It's like having a superpower to see the invisible weak points in a system.
I like that analogy.
Can you walk us through a few examples of how Nmap is used in real-world scenarios?
Sure. One common use of Nmap is for a ping scan. It's like sending out a digital bat signal to see which devices on a network are active.
Okay.
Imagine securing a large office network.
Okay.
A ping scan helps you identify all the devices connected to it, giving you a starting point.
And you can see any unauthorized devices.
Right, exactly.
What other tricks can Nmap do?
Let's say you want to see what services are running on a specific device. You can use Nmap's port scanning feature to check for open ports on that device. For example, port 80 is used for web traffic, and port 22 is used for secure remote access.
Right.
So if you see those open on a device that shouldn't be accessible from the internet,
That's a problem.
that's a red flag.
Yeah. So Nmap gives you a blueprint of the network, showing you the entry points that need to be secured.
Yes,
This is really cool. I can see why it's so valuable.
it is.
But Nmap doesn't just show open ports. It can also tell you about the operating system and software running on a device, right?
Nmap can perform service and OS detection. It's like creating a fingerprint of each device.
Oh, wow.
It can tell you things like what version of Windows or Linux is running, or what type of web server is being used, even what version of a particular application is installed.
I see.
This is important because many vulnerabilities are tied to specific software versions.
Right.
So by knowing the software versions, ethical hackers can find vulnerabilities and recommend updates before an attacker can exploit them.
It's like a crystal ball, showing you potential threats before they happen.
It is all about being proactive and staying one step ahead.
I love it. Nmap sounds incredibly powerful.
It is.
But it's just one tool in an ethical hacker's arsenal, right?
Right.
I'm curious to learn about other tools and how they're used.
But
before we move on, though, can you give our listeners some concrete examples of actual Nmap commands?
Sure. Let's say you want to perform a basic scan of your home network to see what devices are connected.
Good.
You would open a terminal window and type in nmap-t4-192.168.1.024.
Okay.
This tells Nmap to scan your entire home network range and use a faster scan speed and only check common ports to get a quick overview.
So give you a list of all devices on the network.
Yeah, along with some basic information about each one.
Amazing. What if you wanted to see what services are running on a specific device, like your web server?
You would use nmap-t4-a192.168.1.n, where that's the IP address of your web server.
Okay.
The -i flag tells Nmap to perform a more aggressive scan, including OS detection, version detection, script scanning, and traceroute. This gives you a much more detailed fingerprint of the device and its potential vulnerabilities.
Wow. Those commands make it seem almost too easy to get so much information.
It's powerful stuff.
It reminds us that we need to be mindful of security practices.
Definitely.
But it's also good to know that ethical hackers are using these tools to protect us.
Yes, we are the good guys.
Now, why don't we explore other tools in the Ethical Hackers Toolkit?
Okay.
What other tools are there? And how do they work with Nmap to provide a comprehensive assessment?
Well, there are a lot of tools that ethical hackers rely on. One is Wireshark.
Okay.
It allows you to capture and analyze network traffic in real time, giving you a microscopic view of the data flowing through a network.
A network wiretap.
Yeah, but for good reasons.
I see. But why would an ethical hacker need to see all that data?
That's a good question. And how does it complement the information from Nmap?
Yeah. Let's dive into that in part 2 of our deep dive.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to our deep dive into ethical hacking. In part 1, we explored Nmap, which gives you a high-level view of a network's structure and vulnerabilities.
Yeah, the blueprint.
Exactly. Now we're zooming in to explore a tool called Wireshark, which lets you analyze network traffic in real time.
Yeah, like having a microscope for your network.
Oh, wow.
You can see the individual bits and bytes flowing through the system.
So if Nmap is like an X-ray, showing you the bones of a network, Wireshark is like a blood test, revealing the inner workings.
That's a great analogy.
But why would an ethical hacker need to see all that data? It seems like a lot to sift through. What are they looking for when they analyze network traffic?
It can be a lot of data, but Wireshark has filtering and analysis tools to help make sense of it all. Ethical hackers use it for a lot of reasons.
Okay.
For example, they might look for suspicious patterns of traffic. That could mean malware. Or they might analyze communication between a client and a server to see if sensitive info is being sent in plain text.
Oh. So Wireshark can uncover security flaws that aren't visible at the surface.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of how this might work?
Sure. Let's say you're worried about someone on your network. Sending company data to an unauthorized server.
Okay.
Nmap might show that their computer is communicating with that server.
Right.
But it won't show you what data is being sent.
So you can't tell if it's sensitive data.
Right. Wireshark can capture that data stream, and you can see what's in the packets.
So you could actually see the data being leaked.
Yeah.
It's kind of scary. But it shows why we need Wireshark to find these hidden threats.
Definitely.
So Nmap and Wireshark work together to give a more complete picture of security.
Exactly. Nmap shows you potential vulnerabilities.
Right.
And Wireshark helps you see if they're actually being exploited.
It's like a detective duo working a case.
Yeah.
Now, I know there are other tools in an ethical hacker's arsenal, like Metasploit. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Metasploit is a framework for penetration testing. It's basically a simulated attack to find vulnerabilities.
So like a practice run.
Right. Ethical hackers try to break into a system using the same techniques as bad hackers, but with permission and in a safe environment.
It's like a dress rehearsal for a cyber attack.
Yeah, so organizations can fix weaknesses before it's too late.
But how does Metasploit work? What makes it so valuable?
Metasploit has a library of exploits.
What are those?
Pieces of code that take advantage of known vulnerabilities.
Go ahead.
It also has a framework for creating your own exploits.
Oh, wow.
Ethical hackers can use it to simulate all sorts of attacks, from simple password cracking to complex attacks that take over multiple systems.
That sounds really powerful and maybe a bit dangerous. How do you make sure it's used ethically?
That's really important. Ethical hacking is all about responsibility.
Right.
Penetration testers always get permission before doing anything, and they define the scope of the test. So they only target authorized systems.
So you have safeguards in place.
Yeah, so nothing bad happens by accident.
But how does Metasploit fit in with Nmap and Wireshark?
It's all about layers of security testing. You might start with Nmap for a broad overview, then use Wireshark to look for suspicious activity. And if you find something that looks like a vulnerability, you can use Metasploit to test it.
So each tool helps build a complete picture.
Yeah.
But ethical hacking isn't just about tools. There's also social engineering attacks.
Right, where people try to trick others into giving up information.
Yeah. How do ethical hackers deal with that?
Social engineering is a big threat.
Right.
Because it uses human psychology.
Yeah? The weakest link?
Exactly. Ethical hackers can help by doing phishing simulations.
What are those?
Sending fake phishing emails to see how many employees fall for them.
So it's like a test.
Yeah, a fire drill for cybersecurity awareness.
That's clever. But how do you make sure it's educational and not just scary?
It's important to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
We craft realistic emails that mimic real attacks.
Okay.
The goal is to raise awareness and get training data without causing too much stress.
I see. So it's about finding a balance.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot, from Nmap and Wireshark to social engineering.
We have.
In part 3, we'll explore the future of ethical hacking and the challenges that lie ahead.
Welcome back to our deep dive. So we've explored powerful tools like Nmap and Wireshark. We've learned about penetration testing with Metasploit, and even talked about social engineering. But technology is always evolving. So are the threats and the ways to fight them? I'm wondering what's next for ethical hacking. What trends and challenges are coming up?
That's a big question, one that keeps a lot of us in cybersecurity up at night. It's like an arms race. You know, both sides are constantly trying to outdo each other.
I see.
One of the biggest trends is automation and AI in cybersecurity.
AI in cybersecurity, that sounds both cool and a bit scary. Are robots going to replace ethical hackers? Should I start looking for a new job?
No, you're safe for. AI can automate some things, like scanning for vulnerabilities or finding malware.
Okay.
But it can't replace the human element of ethical hacking.
Think of AI as a tool that helps us, not replaces us. Ethical hackers need creativity, critical thinking, problem-solving skills, and intuition. Those are hard for AI to copy. At least not yet.
That makes me feel better. So how can ethical hackers use AI to get better and stay ahead of the game?
Well, AI can help us analyze huge amounts of data, much faster than we can do it manually.
Okay.
It can spot patterns that we might miss, and it can do repetitive tasks so we can focus on harder things.
So it's like having a super smart assistant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Imagine an AI that goes through tons of network logs, finds anything unusual, and then gives you a report about possible breaches. That's what AI can do.
That's amazing. It's like having a sidekick that does all the boring work.
Right, and lets you focus on the big picture.
Are there any other big changes coming up that ethical hackers need to watch out for?
For sure, the Internet of Things is exploding.
The Internet of Things.
Yeah, IoT, billions of devices are connecting to the internet every day.
Okay.
Smart refrigerators, thermostats, industrial sensors, medical devices, all kinds of things. This creates a lot of new targets for hackers.
Because they're all connected to the internet.
Right. And many IoT devices have weak security, and people often forget about them when they're checking for vulnerabilities.
So my toaster could be a way for hackers to get in.
It's possible, but we're working on it.
What can ethical hackers do about these IoT challenges?
It's a fast-moving field. We need to keep learning and adapting.
Right.
That means understanding the weaknesses of these devices, developing new ways to test them, and working with companies to make them more secure from the start.
It sounds like an exciting area to specialize in. So with all these new technologies and threats, what skills do you need to be an ethical hacker? What would you tell someone who wants to learn more?
The good news is that the basics never get old. You need a strong foundation in computer science, networking, operating systems, programming languages.
Okay.
It's not just about using the tools, it's about understanding how they work, so you can adapt to new things.
So you need to be ready to keep learning.
Always. What about soft skills? Are those important in ethical hacking?
I'm not sure. Tell me more.
They're crucial. You need good communication, problem solving, critical thinking, and a strong ethical code. You have to explain complex stuff to people who aren't tech experts. You need to work well in teams. Think outside the box, and always be honest and responsible.
Those are good qualities to have. So how can someone actually get started in ethical hacking?
One of the best ways is to build a home lab where you can practice safely.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Start with the basics, like setting up a virtual machine and learning Linux.
Okay.
And there are lots of resources and courses online that can teach you the fundamentals.
I'll have to check those out. And of course, always remember to be ethical and responsible.
Definitely. Never test a system without permission.
Right.
And respect people's privacy and data.
It's really important. Well, we've covered a lot in this deep dive.
We have. It's been fun.
Yeah. We talked about tools, techniques, challenges, and the exciting future of ethical hacking. It's an important field that protects our digital lives. Any final thoughts?
If you love technology, like to solve problems, and want to make a difference, ethical hacking could be the career for you. The world needs more people who know how to defend against cyber attacks.
That's true.
Who knows? Maybe you'll be the next cybersecurity superhero.
I love it. To our listeners, if you're ready to explore this world, take that first step and check out the resources we mentioned. The world of ethical hacking is waiting for you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.